I had a friend that told me that once I started thinking and dreaming in English, that's when I made a transition, and that only happened during my second year here. And I remember that time when I woke up and said, oh my God, I had a dream in English. I was so excited about it, but you know, it took me 2 years. I didn't have enough support from professors when it comes to grading. I remember specifically one class in where a professor just said, well, you need to submit this paper, and I submitted, and that professor was really tough, not only in terms of the grading, but also in terms of the comments. At some point, actually, the professor told me, well, I don't think that you're going to be able to succeed in this PhD program if you keep grading like this.
Some professors, they act like, if you cannot write it, then your English is not good enough, so you'd better like study English first and then come back to college. And that's sometimes really hurtful, because we tried and we passed the language exam to come to here, and it's not fair to like say that to us.
People, they think that you're either like dumb and you don't know anything, or you're fluent. It's not like that. There's somewhere in between.
For me, it was tough because definitely when it comes to the structure of grading, when you compare English with Spanish, it's completely different, right? Like in Spanish, we use long sentences, we use a lot of passive voice, and those two things seems to be horrible in English, right? I've been told at least.
When I had to write my first paper, I didn't know exactly, I didn't know how you guys write here. I didn't know how long it should be. I didn't know how long my paragraphs should be. I didn't know how to start a paragraph, because I did write a lot of papers back home for my English school, but I didn't know if it was the same here.
Ghanaian style of writing, it's showy. It contains more descriptors. It contains more explanations of earlier stated positions, as opposed to American style of writing that is short, precise, get straight to the point.
In French, especially when you learn French language or philosophy, you are taught to use several words to describe something beautifully. Whereas in English, that was my first shock, like go straight to the point, and those words are useless. What do you want to say? Okay, just say it straight. And I think that was, for me, the big difference.
So I didn't know about citation and plagiarism before I got into higher education. And of course, we didn't have access to all the resources, the databases, the libraries. We had a huge library. I was in a university that had the biggest library in Ghana, but we didn't have all these accesses to, EBSCO and all of things. So we couldn't find articles that showed us who said what.
If we peer review each other and we saw some great ideas and we also want to borrow it, how does that count? Does that count plagiarism or something? Professors just need to know we didn't really mean it. We're just not familiar with it. And if you can point it out, tell us why it's not okay to do that and what is the right way to do it. And we're happy to learn it. In one of my philosophy class, I got a paper, I revised it, and I revised only once, and I sent it to my teaching assistant. And he just gave the grade to me, and he was like, it's good enough. And I got 96% of the grade. And I mean, it's a good grade, but I'm still confusing. I want feedback. I want to know how can I improve, because that's the chance I'm very cherished about it. I really need to know how I can improve. Even if the term paper is the final one, we just need to give the grade, but we need to get the feedback.
The feedback that it helped me the most is when professors give me grammar as well as content. And in grammar, basically because when they fix my grammar, I learn forever that change. And for example, I go back to that paper and I see how the professor suggests me to write, and it helped me to build my skills in writing.
It is only this semester that I had him, but whenever I send a paper out, when you see his comments, you feel like it can be sometimes 2 pages of comments. But for a PhD student, that's what you want. Like, it's very detailed and you can see exactly what he means. And he said, okay, for instance, the execution is not right. You could have done better by doing this, by doing that. And when you see that yourself, you feel comfortable and more confident for your next paper you send out.
My professor does something that I think is really good. We have to write like 3 drafts before we hand in the final paper. So she gives us space to show her what we don't understand.
I have 2 professors that for me have been very good to me, not only in terms of, personal relations and where they're asking me, are you doing well, are you okay? But also, when they read my stuff, when they read my papers, they are like, you can improve here, you can improve there. Sometimes we make jokes about how I use passive voice, and that's okay for me, but they care.
One day I remember that I said, I want to pronounce like you, like other people, not like me. And my advisor told me, you have a beautiful accent, what do you want to change? And I was like, I just want to talk like other people. And she said, it's you, it's your accent, it's your identity. She told me that.
I'm not asking for every professor to talk about international students every class and check on us every time, like every 5 minutes they ask if the international students are understanding what they're saying. That's not what we want. For sure, that's not what we want. But maybe just like in the first day of classes, they're like, oh, so if there's any international student in the class, and if you guys have any trouble understanding something, or just need help with anything, our office hours are blah, 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 and we're always available to help you.
If I'm struggling and I'm asking for help, at the end, I'm expecting that professor, if that professor cares about me, to provide some resources, okay? I'm going to submit the paper on time. I'm going to do all my exams. I'm going to do all the readings. It's going to take me more probably than an American student. But at the end, I also need support, and that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, we just need professor to be more patient, and they can really be very supportive. Just be patient, and if they're willing to discuss it with us, even if they don't know the answer of it, but if they're willing to discuss it with us, we have the courage to try our best in every paper we're going to write.
We're asking just to be acknowledged and know that we definitely have a time to improve, that we have a learning curve, and if we have the support of those professors, we are more likely to succeed.